In today's video, we will talk about the real reason behind Indian independence which has been deleted from the history books. The reason that showcases the British in a negative background. Be assured, it was not the non-violence movement, but it was the Royal Indian Navy Mutiny of 1946 that made the Britishers realize that they cannot continue to rule the country. To find out more, stay tuned. In this video, we'll delve into the extraordinary role of INA and the Royal Indian Navy Mutiny in the Indian independence movement. Our journey begins with the Indian National Army led by the indomitable Subhash Chandra Bose. The INA sought to liberate India from British colonial rule during World War II. Bose believed in armed resistance and collaborated with Axis powers to achieve his goals. Bose believed that freedom cannot be gifted. It can only be taken by force. The INA's contribution to the Indian independence movement was twofold. Firstly, it created a significant psychological impact on the Indian population. The INA's existence and the participation of Indian soldiers in the fight against the British inspired a sense of national pride and rejuvenated the freedom movement. It also helped in shifting the narrative from non-violent resistance to armed struggle. Secondly, the INA's military campaign in Burma and Northeast India during World War II put pressure on the British Empire. The INA's victories and successful military operations demonstrated the capability and determination of Indian soldiers to fight against the British. This forced the British to reassess their position in India and recognize the growing strength of the independence movement. While the INA created ripples of change, another significant event shook the British Raj to its core, the Royal Indian Navy Mutiny of 1946. It was an uprising by Indian sailors against the British colonial administration. The British Empire in India was standing basis on the armed forces which included Indian soldiers. The Indian soldiers were discriminated in the army. The facilities given to the British soldiers were much more than the Indian soldiers. The mutiny erupted due to these grievances regarding poor working conditions, unequal treatment, and racial discrimination with the Navy. The sailors' demand for equality and justice struck a chord with the broader Indian population, who joined the hands in solidarity. The mutiny was primarily sparked by sailors' demand for better working conditions, improved pay, and an end to the racial discrimination within the Royal Indian Navy. The mutineers sought equality and justice, which resonated with the broader aspiration of Indian population for freedom from colonial oppression. The sailors raised the Congress Party flag and demanded the release of all political prisoners. The mutiny challenged the British authority and showcased the willingness of Indians to fight for their rights and freedom. The mutiny sparked widespread protests and strikes across India in support of the sailors. Dock workers, railway workers, and other segments of the society joined in solidarity with the mutineers, paralyzing essential services and demonstrating the widespread discontent with British rule. The mutiny helped to further mobilize and unite Indians in their struggle for independence. The mutiny acted as a catalyst in hastening the process of Indian independence. It contributed to the changing narrative and the growing realization within the British government that continued colonial rule in India was unsustainable. The British feared that if after the Navy, Indian Army would also react in the same way, and that's what exactly happened. When the Navy was protesting against racial practices, the British ordered the police for lathi charge, but the police official refused and joined the Navy instead. After the mutiny, the British colonial authorities took various actions against the mutineers. Many sailors were arrested and court-martials were conducted. Some sailors were imprisoned while others were discharged from service. The mutiny had an impact on the political climate in India, leading to increased support of the Indian National Congress and other nationalist movements. Following India's independence in 1947, the sailors who had been discharged or imprisoned as a result of the mutiny were generally not reabsorbed in the newly formed Indian Navy. However, some former sailors did find employment in civilian sectors or joined the newly created naval forces of independent India. The Indian government also didn't even care about the real heroes of our nation. These chapters were deleted from the history books to reflect a positive image of the British. We all need to know about these unsung heroes of the country because as we reflect on these remarkable chapters of history, we are reminded of the courage, sacrifice, and determination of those who fought for India's independence. The INA and the Royal Indian Navy Mutiny were pivotal moments in the struggle for Indian independence, contributing to the shift in the narrative of freedom movement, exposing the British Empire's vulnerabilities and ultimately pushing the British to grant independence to India.